Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome once again to our little Shabbat in place of being at the temple service. It's going to be a while, but we know we're going to get back there. I'm going to ask Arthur to put up a little slide we prepared to tell you about what's coming up. Just to let you know about our coming schedule, we will be here with our Friday night service on the following Fridays, August 21st, next week, August 28th. We will skip a week on Labor Day weekend. I need a little break. And then we'll resume on September 11th. And that will be our only September service because we also have in September the 18th, Erev Rosh Hashanah. We will be presenting a very, very special program, including many members of our congregation, professionally mixed music over some really nice videos and placards with the lyrics. It'll be not quite, but almost like being at Temple. I'll be at Temple, and I will have recorded by then some greetings and other kinds of things, including my remarks, commentary for the holiday. The next morning, September 19th, we will meet at 11 a.m., members only. You have the password, or you can ask for it by emailing me, to do a special Rosh Hashanah learning over Zoom. That's at 11 a.m. on Saturday, September 19th. Sunday, September 27th is Erev Yom Kippur. Same kind of service at 6 p.m. The next day, an 11 a.m. morning Zoom learning, the book of Jonah we'll be talking about. And then in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, a live memorial service in which we will also dedicate the new names on our memorial garden wall. And one last thing, we are in the midst of putting together a special in-person opportunity at the temple. We have some very special gift boxes with honey cake and other surprises for members, and we'll be giving those away the same day that we will also be offering a flu inoculation clinic, so you'll be able to sign up for that through our newsletter. You'll even be able to fill out all the forms in advance. We want everybody to get a flu shot this year. It's being held by CVS. It will be obviously socially distanced, medical professionals, very safe. So if you're wondering where you're going to get your flu shot, that's it. And I promise you that when the vaccine is out, we're going to try to do the same thing. All right, I'll ask Arthur to take down that slide, and we will begin then with Ma Tovu.
Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, mekor habracha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
I'll invite Arthur now to light our Shabbat candles. We'll sing along the blessing. Baruch haor ba'olam, Baruch haor ba'adam, Baruch haor b'shalom, b'shalom, Baruch haor, Baruch haor, B'Shabbat. If you have a glass of cheer, I invite you to raise it with me as we say, L'chaim, to life. May we all have a wonderful Shabbat and a good week to come. A new reading for this week. May we see the world each day with fresh eyes. May we always know day from night, true from false, wisdom from convenience. May our every step be on firm earth. May we see through illusion to reality. May we bring splendor and joy to all we touch. May we always know what it is to live in freedom. May we be a support to those who have fallen. May we guide those who wander to return to their true path. May our needs be fulfilled. May we draw strength from our community. May we contribute to the splendor that is humankind. May we remember the joy of freedom even in times of bondage. On life's path, may we never know weariness of body, mind, or spirit. We continue with Efo Ore. May we strive to lead loving, compassionate lives with our hearts, with our wisdom, and with our actions. These are the ideas we inscribe in our innermost heart. May we practice them day and night, teaching them diligently to our children through our words and especially through our deeds, so that the next generations learn to revere and celebrate life. We continue with this beautiful song, Yesh Makom.
There's a place with answers we are seeking. There's a place to find our light of hope. Where's the strength to realize our vision? Yesh makom betocheinu, yesh makom betocheinu. Look within yourself, you'll find it there. There's a place with wisdom that can guide us. There's a place where we know what's right or wrong. Where's the path to peace that we all long for? Yesh makom betocheinu, yesh makom betocheinu. Look within yourself, you'll find it there.
Tonight, we're going to hear a conversation I conducted earlier in the week with Paul Golan, the executive director of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. For those of you who don't know Paul, he has been in working with in and around the Jewish community, the professional world, working with Jewish communities and organizations for a very long time, helping them to, in his first incarnation as Assistant Executive Director of the Jewish Outreach Institute in the Big Tent, to better understand the key trends affecting our communities, including intermarriage, engagement, disaffiliation, and inclusion. He's written in numerous Jewish publications. He's brought fresh and wonderful new energy to our movement, for which we are all grateful. And I'm proud to share some of the conversation he and I had earlier this week. Shabbat Shalom, Paul. Thank you for joining us on our Shabbat, our weekly Shabbat. So I pictured this as just sort of a free-flowing conversation, a little bit about what's going on in our movement now. What do you see for the future of humanistic Judaism after this pandemic?
Sure. Hi, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for having me. So for folks who don't know, I'm Executive Director of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. If you are a member of the Birmingham Temple in Michigan, you are a member of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. If you're a member of any of our affiliated communities around the US and in Toronto, you are also an SHJ member, and I hope that you know that and that you're receiving our materials that we mail. We still do physical mail. Hopefully the post office will continue to exist. And of course we do emails, and as you know, during this time of pandemic, we've really pivoted to do a lot of programming online, probably more SHJ programming in the last 3 months than we've done in the previous 5 years, just to make sure that folks are staying connected. And that has been, I think, a silver lining, perhaps, of what is otherwise a pretty crummy time. So one thing that I've been thinking a lot about, which we were thinking about before the virus hit, that perhaps is accelerated by what's happening today, is the future of our movement, thinking about how do we grow this thing that, you know, for many of you who are listening, is a central aspect of who you are. And how do we share with more folks who might benefit from having that identity? So that's something we're constantly thinking about and trying to figure out, how do we share this thing with folks, recognizing the challenges that have been exacerbated by a pandemic. And right now we're at a point where the financial help that the government was providing is drying up, and perhaps hopefully just temporarily. But for a lot of people, this is a time that is also financially unstable. And for any congregational denomination, you know, if somebody is struggling to feed their family, paying congregational dues is way down the list, as it should be. And so our community has to determine, how do we organize, how do we provide this thing that we think is meaningful, humanistic Judaism, to folks who perhaps right now can't afford it. And so we want to make sure nobody is turned away for lack of being able to pay. And I think that the Birmingham Temple in particular is a model for how to do that. And what it means is that the folks who are able step up and provide for those who can't right now. And so that's a different model than what congregational Judaism has been built on for 50 or 60 years, which is the dues model, the membership model, kind of a fee for service, a flat rate almost. And that has been under great stress. And as you know, at the Birmingham Temple, and you've been working on how to address that model. So for me, that is intertwined with meaning. How do we make sure that this thing has meaning for people, regardless of whether they're members or not? How do we put it out there? And so it's been interesting that with this virus, I think we've been able to reach some folks who otherwise would have never come into contact with us, because they are able to just get online, see us without being seen in some ways, and say, perhaps, oh, that is my kind of Judaism. That does speak for me. And now the question is, how do we make sure that they're welcomed, embraced, and can fully participate, and understand that the fees or the membership is not intended to be a barrier. It is actually a way of supporting a cause that you believe in, a mission. We like to think of the Society for Humanistic Judaism as being mission driven. So when we talk about membership or dues, for me, that's really philanthropy and tzedakah and supporting a cause and a mission that folks believe in. And so my goal is to find more folks who believe in this mission, obviously, and excite them about the mission and make them feel like they're supporting something that they believe in. And I feel excited about doing that because I know we're the only voice out there that directly speaks to this philosophy of life.
With well, of course, I know that and you referenced it. We have completely upended our membership model at our congregation. Folks that are tuning in Southeast Michigan, I hope are aware of that. Although we seem to be drawing from people from some far-flung places, which is also nice. Because we recognize that the obstacles and barriers can be an issue for people. We've also eliminated barriers to participation in our Spinoza Sunday program. We no longer have tuition. Education is a membership benefit, and membership is now supported by contributions to support to underwrite people's membership, but not there's a category of contribution that is open, that folks can basically state what they can do, and we are no longer engaging in conversations about what can you afford and that kind of thing. If we're going to be a radical movement, we certainly need to radicalize ourselves out of traditional. You said 50, 60 years. To me, it feels more like 150 or 60 years. What do you think, and I know you guys have done a lot of research and study on this, what do you think it's going to take for us to be able to reach the secular Jews out there who are also non-theists? What is the language that we need to use to let them know who we are? Humanistic being as meaningful to some people as, humane. Maybe they think we take care of dogs. I don't know.
Yeah, this is something that we're also working on at SHJ that we hope will be a resource for all of our affiliated communities as well. What is that language? And I feel like words are so important in our movement. I mean, the words are the things, right? For many of the folks who are with us, it was because they couldn't keep saying those words at the theistic Jewish communities. Many folks who are humanistic Jews are in those communities and are fine saying those words, right? If we spoke to them about our life and our philosophy, we align 100%, and then they would say, yeah, but these are the words that my ancestors said, so I don't have a problem saying it, even though I don't believe it, right? And so for our movement, it was the words that needed to align with our beliefs and our values that were so important, and that's why Rabbi Sherwin created Humanistic Judaism. And yet, we've struggled with words to describe who we are, and that is because we are diverse, even within our movement. So, for example, we're not all atheists. Humanism is not atheism exactly, right? There's a Venn diagram that has very little space on either side, and American Humanist Association, which I look to as a model of how you create mission around an identity and a belief system, their motto is good without a God. Right up front, good is the first thing, but without a God is the next thing. And they're aligning their non-theism with the philosophy of being good. And how do we do that? So, Rabbi Sherwin said that it was about where our power comes from. And I recently, there's an interview with him that was just uploaded to YouTube. And he says that regardless of what you believe about God, humanistic Jews believe our power comes from within ourselves. He said that almost 25 years ago, which was midway kind of in our movement's history. And in the late 90s, it still wasn't comfortable to say publicly, I'm an atheist. He created a new word ignostic, right? He didn't want to even say agnostic.
Which most of our
Ignostic,
people don't understand. It's a hard
right?
word.
Yeah, I think we're in a different place. I think we're at a place now where not only are people more comfortable saying atheist, and I think we have to define what that means, but actually there's a political point to saying so. And I think in some ways it has changed the landscape of the country in the same ways that LGBTQ people coming out of the closet changed attitudes toward gay marriage and created support for that as well, which is that atheists were closeted in a lot of ways. It's not a perfect analogy, but by coming out and being open about, we don't believe in that God, right? So, but the overlap in our movement is that we have folks who will say, I can't write it out completely, or I believe in a God that is like nature, and we're not, we try not to be dogmatic about it. But in trying to be inclusive, and by the way, we also have tremendous numbers of interfaith households, and we want to be inclusive and welcoming to our spouses, perhaps, or partners who do believe in something. At the same time, this was a movement that was created as a safe space, before that phrase was ever being used, for non-theistic Jews to come together to be in a place where they were the majority. We're still not the majority in America. We're inching our way there as secular Americans, but certainly as Jews, we're a minority. As secular Jews, we're probably half of American Jews, but as organized secular Jews, we're in the minority. And this was the place for us to come together and be with like-minded people. And so we're allowed to have that safe space, and we should be able to articulate who this safe space is for, and our friends and allies and family members. But we created a safe space for non-theistic Jews. And so I've in doing a marketing plan, which we're working with an outside consulting firm, which we find the experience has been tremendous. They're a great organization, and other Jewish nonprofits have also worked with them to great effect. We came out of it with a positioning statement that goes, meaningful Jewish living without God. Now, it was an internal positioning statement, and they explained to us that what we then derive as marketing language comes out of an internal positioning statement. The internal positioning statement is not automatically your slogan. And yet, many organizations do turn that position statement into a slogan. So that's what we're kind of struggling with now is, can we flat out say without God at the end of meaningful Jewish living, right? We put the meaningful Jewish living first, just like good without a God. But we have the without God, and several folks have reacted very strongly to that. And yet, in SHJ's mission statement for however many, perhaps decades it's been there, it flat out says that it is basically meaningful Jewish living without supernatural intervention, right? So we can use phrases like supernatural intervention. We can use phrases like non-theistic. Non-theistic literally means without God to me. But once you say the G word, people are, you can't say that, right? We don't want to offend. We don't want to push people away. And
everybody
so
offends a little bit. Yeah.
we're struggling with that as a movement, and we don't want to push people away. But the question at hand is, how do we let more people know who we are and what we do? And so humanism, so one tact is to say, if only more Jews knew what humanism is, we'd have more humanistic Jews. So that is certainly one approach that we're going to follow, is just let more Jews know what humanism is, and they will say automatically, as I did, oh, right, that's me. There's a word for my philosophy. And how exciting it is to learn that there's a word for it and there's a whole community built around it. So that's one hopeful way. But it's really hard to describe humanism without getting at the God question. And when I talk about my own atheism, I say, I don't believe in the God of the Bible with certainty. As far as what else might be out in the universe, how can I know? You know, so in that regard, I'm agnostic as far as, are we the highest intelligent form in the galaxy? I hope not, but you know, I don't see any evidence otherwise. So it's an unknown. But that God, as written, who punishes the wicked and rewards the good as we approach the high holidays, you know, that's the liturgy that turned me off initially as a child to religious Judaism, because I knew that's simply not how the world works, and I can demonstrate that. So we're struggling with the language, but it's a good struggle. I'm obviously excited about the struggle, and I would love input from folks as well.
I have shared that struggle. I think that here at the mothership, as we call it, we understand that you know, we may be a little bit ahead on some of these topics, but if we're going to bring other people in, these conversations are going to flare up, as they should. People need to understand. I had a wonderful conversation with a family this week that's interested, very interested. The husband that I spoke to said that he's an atheist and his wife is an agnostic. And once we talked about it, we realized they're two different things. One doesn't define the other. One is an approach to knowledge. The other is approach to belief, and what you believe actually does exist. I haven't met many Reform rabbis or conservative rabbis, frankly, who believe in the God of the Bible anymore, but they talk like they do, and that's part of the problem. But mostly what I've discovered is that when I'm using the language of secularism, because secular Jews know they're secular Jews, and we may be the majority of Jews in this country, even if not every Jew labels themselves that way, they may belong to a congregation. But I have found that when we lead with secular Jew, and then we fill in the content, a good 60 to 70% of those secular Jews hang around. Because they got secular in the first place because they didn't believe in those gods, those propositions of the and the supernatural thing always makes me laugh, because I think to myself, well, I'm pretty sure they all understand that we don't mean we're consulting goblins and ghosts. So what do they think we mean by supernatural?
It's remarkable that the word supernatural sounds so ridiculous. Nobody is going to, no one's going to defend that. But the word God is holy, so you can't mess with that. So it is a tremendous challenge. And look, I think there's no, if there were perfect words, I think we'd already have come across it. For me, I think one of the challenges with secular is that you will have Jews. I'm speaking specifically now for Jews. I think many non-Jewish Americans are very clear about what secular means as non-religious. I think for many Jews, they may say, yeah, I'm secular because I drive on Shabbat and I eat pork products. You know, I don't keep kosher. I don't keep the mitzvah. But then if you ask, well, how about God? Oh, well, yeah, I believe in God. So I don't know that Jews across the board are using the word secular the way we do when we capitalize it and say secular humanistic Judaism. But I think we have to kind of throw all of it out there. I think the word cultural resonates with a lot of people too. I'm a cultural Jew. It's kind of, the minute you say I'm a cultural Jew, you're almost implying I'm not a religious Jew. But again, humanism gets at the theology, but no one knows the word yet. So all of these words are greatly challenged. I think a piece of it is finding the resources to raise up our voices, that regardless of, and so right now we're working on what is the message and trying to find the most clear yet inclusive language we can use. And then a piece of it will be finding those resources to go tell people about it. I'm told that in the 70s, ads were placed in the New York Times about humanistic Judaism and got a wave of interest in Society for Humanistic Judaism, but we didn't have the resources to engage those folks. Now we want to build those resources, which, you know, I feel like we're there, and folks who are members should be hearing from us regularly and hopefully feel a part of our community. I feel like we're laying that groundwork first. And now if we can get to a point where we got the right language, that's another piece of the puzzle. And then the next piece will be those resources to really amplify the message and get more people aware of it, because now we can actually bring them in and serve them and welcome them into our community.
Well, as we conclude, just, this is part of the grand tradition of our movement. It's not that old, but it is a movement that is both emotionally engaged and intellectually engaged. And as long as you guys continue to do what you're doing in partnership with the congregations and the individuals out there, I feel very good about the future of humanistic Judaism. And I'm very, very pleased that you're heading it up and taking us in the right direction. Thank you again for joining us on this Shabbat. So I guess
and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. I think I'm going to be. I always at some point am the first person to wish someone L'Shana Tova. So that'll be this, even though it's still a little bit away. It's on the mind of every rabbi and every Jewish professional. And Shabbat Shalom. Thanks so much.
Shalom. Take care. Bye-bye.
And once again, thank you to Paul. Next week, we will hear from Professor Ron Aronson, a world-famous humanist, professor of the history of ideas, professor emeritus at Wayne State University. He'll be speaking to us about some of the thoughts he expressed in a recent article in Tikkun magazine about the pandemic and going forward. We look forward to that. Another new reading tonight, One for Peace, preceded by this from the book of Micah in the Bible. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. Everyone will sit under their own vine and under their own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid. Under my fig tree, the sunlight filters through the 5-lobed leaves, and the grapes from the vine are sweet. But I cannot sit there now. In the desert that surrounds us, the winds are howling. The swords clang together over and over, and lions and lambs alike are slaughtered. I long for my fig tree. I think of its leaves like a shield of tender hands as I stand here, shivering with fear, trying to explain what a plowshare is. We continue with Naaseh Shalom. In this community, where we find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and heart toward all those who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who suffer pain of the body or spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. Tonight, our well wishes are extended to these members of our community and to their loved ones and friends. To Cece Stone, Joan Mann, Julie Eliason, Titus Mendel, Karen Tremper Harris, Larry Fisher, Jennifer Breen, Anne Marie Kersniak, Greg Lowenthal, and Myron Tink. May all who suffer know that they are not alone. May they be healed quickly. May they experience a complete recovery, refuah shlema, the renewal of their bodies and the renewal of their spirits. So we turn to Mekom HaKoach.
Bracha
Our thoughts turn to those who are no longer with us, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every people and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We recall now our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Tonight, we mourn the recent deaths of a dear and honored member of our community, Patty Becker. Patty was a beloved member, and yesterday we conducted her memorial, her funeral, at the Workmen's Circle. Many of you have asked me where you can see a copy of that or see a video of that, and you can go to thedorfmanchapel.com, where you should still be able to find a recording of our memorial yesterday for Patty Becker. Yehi zichra livracha, may her memory be a blessing. I know it will be for me. We also observe tonight the yahrzeits of these wonderful people who are missed: Eileen Joseph, Beverly Levy, Sophie Gerendacey, Sheldon Klimist, Katie Campbell, Lloyd Wolberg, and Grigory Lumelski. Yizichram livracha, and the memories of each of these people provide us with a measure of comfort and blessing as we go through our lives in their absence. Well, that's it for tonight, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We will see you next week, and we will now conclude with May We Know Peace, an adaptation of a famous Debbie Friedman song.
May we know peace as we go on our way. May we be guided by love. May we be possessed of health and joy. May this be our future. Shalom. 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 May this be our future. Shalom. 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 May this be our future. Shalom. May we feel sheltered by the wings of peace. May we abide in safety and in love. May praise and compassion find their way to everyone. May this be our future. Shalom. 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 May this be